What's up, fam? Eric here. It's time for another AMA and Ask Me Anything video where you ask me questions anonymously by clicking the link in the description box. You can ask me anything you want down there as long as I can talk about it on YouTube, and it has the possibility of being included in this video series. So if you'd like to participate in that, please go down below and click the link to take you over and ask your question. If there are any questions in this set of questions that do not get answered here, they will be included in a members only video separately from this one. So if you're a channel member, you can check those out. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this video. All right, first up, ever since Invincible came out 5 years ago on Amazon, Critical Drinker recommended the first season and has never spoken about it again. I didn't realize that he had ever even talked about it. Gary has never talked about it once. Ryan, KKK Kennel, has never talked about it. The Human Thumb, known as and Rotten Mouth, is it Disparu or Disporu? Disparu? I don't know how they pronounce it. Have never talked about it once. On FNT, they have never talked about it. Seems really fishy to me, don't you think? I mean, yeah, I guess so. I don't know how often they cover cartoons in general. Look, I'm not trying to run defense for these guys, obviously, but they mostly talk about movies and live action TV shows. I don't know if they've ever really heavily covered a cartoon in the past. Now, there is the possibility of a live action Invincible movie or TV series. I know that's something that's been tossed around here and there. If that ever happens, I 100% expect them to talk about it and act like they're huge fans, which is going to be weird because if they're huge fans, why are they not talking about the cartoon or the comic or anything along those lines? I don't know what they're going to actually do. Honestly, I'm surprised that Critical Drinker even mentioned it at all, because I've never, like when I was scrolling through looking for Invincible stuff the other day, I didn't even see anything by him in my search. So shocked to know that he ever even talked about it. But look, the overall, what you're suggesting here is that it is something that people like and therefore they're ignoring it and not talking about it. Yes, that's a possibility, obviously. It's a pattern of behavior from these guys. I'm not going to disagree with you there. I think it is a very big possibility. They don't want to touch something that they know a lot of people enjoy and is very closely aligned to the comic. Obviously, there's a few changes here and there, but overall, I think most people think the storylines in the cartoon are very similar to the storylines from the comics. So are they ignoring it because it's good? Or are they just not cartoon guys? I have to go and look, to be honest. I'd have to go and look and see how often they've talked about cartoons. I don't know if they've covered them quite extensively. However, I will say Invincible is good and everybody should be checking it out. This past season was incredible. So go over and watch Invincible. Well, if you haven't watched any of it, go and watch it. If you like more mature animated stuff in the superhero world, Invincible is literally right up your alley. So there you go. Recommendation from me. All right, next up, do you think that Critical Drinker will eventually make content that isn't just rage bait if YouTube is cracking down on it? Thanks. Do I think that will he switch up and start talking about stuff he loves primarily? No, I don't ever see that happening. Critical Drinker is in kind of a good spot compared to the rest of the hate content creators and outrage guys. He's in a good spot because what he does is closer to what YouTube is okay with because of the type of content that he makes. He doesn't make, at least I haven't seen him make outrageous thumbnails like Nerdrotic or hate thumbnails like Ryan Kennel. Like, I don't see him doing those kinds of things. A lot of times, Critical Drinker puts up a thumbnail. It's just a picture of something. Like, a lot of times he doesn't even have text in his thumbnails. So right away, he's not going to get noticed off jump from YouTube. Also, he doesn't use like a lot of the dog whistly stuff that the guys like Nerdrotic uses or Geeks and Gamers or any of those guys. He doesn't dog whistle a lot of times in his titles or his thumbnails. So visually right there, before we even enter into Critical Drinker's territory, he's looking good on YouTube side. He's getting away with it a little bit over there. It's mostly Critical Drinker's hypocrisy and double standards. That's the stuff that stands out. And technically, if we're talking specifically about Critical Drinker, he is the one, if we're talking about like blatantly violating terms of service and getting away with being an outrage channel without always crossing over into that territory, he's on the far end. Critical Drinker's on the far end of that. Like if you look at the channels that cross the lines the most, they're blatantly crossing the line, whether it be racist imagery and thumbnails, racist titles, just flat out racist and bigoted content within the video. Critical Drinker is the farthest away from that, but his content achieves the same goal. He doesn't have to do that. He's a big enough channel that he doesn't have to go for the low-hanging fruit and do those types of things that you see some of these other guys trying to do to stay relevant, scrambling to stay relevant, doing whatever they can to stay relevant. Critical Drinker doesn't have to do that. And therefore, he's a little bit protected in the world of YouTube in that regard. If we're talking about rage bait stuff that has to shift, you'd have to look at the more extreme rage bait channels, and then you would ask, like, how do they rage bait but not be so extreme? And that would mean more, clever editing, better packaged video content, more awareness of how to play the game. If the only thing you've ever had to do is rage bait to try and own the libs or trigger people, if that's all you've ever had to do to get views on your videos, then you're just going to keep doing that until you can't do it anymore. Like if you were capable of doing something better than that, you would have already done it. And Critical Drinker, and I've said this before, both Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic to some degree, Nerdrotic dives more into like the outrage thumbnails and titles, but both of those guys have kind of perfected the media grift space on YouTube for what they do without always blatantly breaking YouTube's terms of service. There's a lot of channels that do it. You look at something like Ranting for Vengeance. Ranting for Vengeance breaks YouTube's terms of service in every way imaginable. Almost every time he uploads a video. That's somebody you would look at and go, that person clearly can't do anything but what they're doing. But Nerdrotic could actually do what Critical Drinker's doing and clean it up just enough that YouTube doesn't really look at his channel and go, obviously this guy is making outrage content. He could do that. I think he could make that shift. Would they shift out of that completely and entirely, like no longer making outrage content? No. I don't see that for either of them. Gary could have kept doing what he was doing years ago, but he didn't. Now he's all in on what he's doing here on YouTube and the way he does it. I don't see that happening. They have too much overhead on their channels. They'd have to like scale everything back to do that. I just don't see that happening. So no, I don't think the cracking down of rage bait would bring down channels like Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic the same way it would a lot of the other channels, because they could actually pivot. Some of these other guys can't. So they're a little bit insulated from all of this stuff. All right, next up, it looks like a ton of YouTube channels are being removed or demonetized. I know I'm seeing it all over the place. It's happening to random channels. I think there is one sort of defining issue that a lot of these guys are dealing with, and I will talk about that in a second. Actually, it might be something that I have to change on my channel moving forward. We'll discuss that in a moment, but yeah, let me finish your comment here. Do you think it's because of the hate content or something else? Please explain. So what's happening is YouTube as a company has gotten rid of a lot of positions, and their quality control now is done by an algorithm and AI. So like those are the two things that you're going to see happening. And this isn't me making this up. Like if you look at anybody who has dealt with this on Twitter or talked about it on any social media, you'll see that one of the big things they've had to deal with is that they're not actually talking to real people. And so these systems do not properly evaluate what is happening because it's not designed to do that. It is designed to look up what the problems are these channels supposedly have and then execute a demonetization process. Now, if YouTube were going to be impacted by this to the point where they feel like it's an issue, it's going to be revenue on their end. But the thing is, if they demonetize a channel, ads are still going to run on those channels. Like, they're not demonetizing the channels because the channels, at least the ones I've seen, because they're making content that is offensive. So they're still going to run ads on those videos, no matter what. So they're going to make their money off of those, off of the ads anyway. Unless they remove your channel. If they remove your channel entirely, which I'm not seeing as much, it does happen, I'm not seeing it as much. But if they remove your channel entirely, then obviously they're not going to make money off of that. But let me explain to you what I think is happening based on all of the systems that or all the issues I've seen with people complaining about the system. So when you have multiple channels, like say, we'll just throw out a number. You have 3 channels and you're cross-sharing content across 3 channels. What happens is that triggers YouTube's system that it's quite possible that this content is inauthentic content. That what is happening is somebody is taking a video and they're re-uploading a video and they're doing it in multiple places. So they see that as spam, even though it's not. It's you're running the channel you're making this content, they still flag it as spam. And it's even worse if you're doing shorts. Like if I do a video and I break it up into shorts, those short videos are edits from a longer video. They might see both of those things and go, this person is making inauthentic content. Now that's conservatively looking at this. Like if that's the only issue, talking to a human should resolve that issue and you should be okay. But we're not seeing that happen. So what's actually going on? What's the big problem? The problem is channels that are re-uploading and using content from other places and spamming it out. So like if you have a channel, like say, we use the quartering as an example. You have the quartering. If someone's clipping a ton of quartering's videos and uploading them to separate channels in different places, whether it be in shorts or regular videos, it's going to show up in the algorithm over and over and over again. And the AI is going to assume that either one or two of those are people re-uploading, or it's just going to go after all of them. It's not going to look for the original content creator. So what it's doing, what the system is acknowledging is that your content has become spam for the system, but it doesn't care if you're the person that made it originally. And I think that's what's happening to a lot of these channels based on everything I've seen. The interactions, the responses people have gotten back from YouTube. I think it is sort of like an issue within YouTube's pipeline for flagging content, for inauthentic content. And it's weird to me because YouTube is trying to get people to use more AI. Like they've integrated AI into a lot of things. I have no interest in it, but a lot of people are using their AI systems, that's more inauthentic than anything, but that's not getting flagged that way. And a lot of people are going, well, I just do commentary. I just read articles. Yeah, but if you are reading an article that 500 other channels are also reading, if that's what you're doing, then they consider that to be repetitive spammy. Look, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying this is what I'm seeing on YouTube. If you are an account where you don't show your face, you read articles, the article is on the screen for the majority of the video, you run a risk of YouTube flagging your account as inauthentic content. Now, I know there are other cases where people have, they're actual people that get on video and they talk about stuff. There might be more nuance to it outside of that is affecting other people. But the vast majority of channels that I have seen get in trouble are VTube channels or channels where people don't show who they are. And so YouTube has an issue with that. Now, again, the ones where people are on camera like me or anybody else and those people are getting flagged, I think it has to do more with being clipped and being spammed out for stuff and getting traction, getting a lot of views. That seems to be the issue. I don't think it's because of the hate content. I haven't seen anybody, at least none of the people that I have seen that have been demonetized or whatever, I haven't seen them get an email from YouTube saying, we demonetized you because you make hate content. It's mostly inauthentic content. And that's such a nebulous term that I'm only going with what answers people got when doing this. Like the stuff that they got back from YouTube when they finally got a chance to talk to somebody. So, no, I don't think it has anything to do with it. Answering your question. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right. So I'm including this one against my own intuition, my gut telling me why am I even doing this? But I'm including it because I want you guys to see that not everything that I get is good faith or supportive. I get a lot of comments like this and sometimes I just ignore them. Sometimes I answer them and put them in the members only videos, but I try not to do it here. But every once in a while, I think it's good for you guys to see that it's not all good comments coming through. And this doesn't even count my emails. Here we go. At some point, you will figure out we don't care about studies or facts. When you use a source, nobody cares, bro. Okay, nobody. All right. Nerdrotic and the guys actually know people. They don't need sources like you do. Facts are just opinions with evidence. All right. Where do we even begin with this one? First of all, I don't care if you don't consider studies or facts to be useful, because that's not how that works. Those studies and the facts that we bring up on this channel or any of the podcasts I'm on are done so to show that there is a standard or there's some shred of proof to what is being said beyond anecdotal or trust me, bro. Trust me, bro, trust me, sis. Like, those two things are, it's crazy that people still believe that in 2026. Nerdrotic and the guys actually know people. They don't need sources like you do. Okay, two things. One, if they knew people, that would be a source. So, like, that's what that is. If you know someone, you have a source on the inside. Also, knowing people is, trust me, bro, trust me, sis, anecdotal stuff, which is not actual proof. I don't know why you guys think that Nerdrotic telling you that something he heard is a rumor is proof. I don't know why. Oh, and there, you know, people would say, oh, well, sometimes he gets it right. Sometimes I get stuff right and I don't have any inside scoop. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I wonder if this thing is going to happen. And then it does happen. I could have just made a video and said, hey, I have an inside source that says that this is going to happen. And then when it does, I could just claim victory. That's not proof. It's just not proof. And then the last thing you left here is absolutely hilarious. Facts are just opinions with evidence. That's true. That's true. Facts are opinions with evidence. And that's why I like stating facts in my videos. These comments are funny. This is just a longer version of the typical stuff I get about, you know, ad hominem attacks and stuff like that. Like, I get that all the time. The reality is, when I get stuff like this, what it tells me is there are people that are watching my content that realize that I am providing actual useful information, that I'm actually providing evidence for what I'm saying, that the studies I'm providing are disputing and discrediting everything that these guys are saying. That's what this tells me. That's what it tells me. And you're a channel subscriber, but I love all my subscribers. So thank you for subscribing. By the way, if you're watching this video right now and you want more content like this, hit subscribe, just like this person. And then you can send me comments like this for me to possibly read on the show. I love it. Facts are just opinions with evidence. Absolutely. 100%. I agree with you. I don't know if I'm going to put this one in the regular video or the members only video. We'll see where it ends up at the end of the day. But I thought this was funny, not in a negative way. Like, I'm not shaming anybody or anything like that, obviously. But it's funny because I honestly never get comments like this. Never. I think I've had maybe 2 comments like this in the last 10 years that I've been on YouTube that have been sent to me, like through an email or something like that. I'm sure videos, there's probably stuff like this out there. But this comment says, could you start an OnlyFans? It doesn't have to be X-rated, but something more thirst trap place. I don't know what that means. Something more thirst trap place? I'm not sure what that means. Much love from Australia, from down under. Okay. The truth is, years ago, fun story, I was doing a stream and someone in the stream made an OF with my name on it and tried to tell people that it was my OF, but it wasn't, because I didn't have an OF. And so it wasn't even like a troll or anything like that. It was literally just somebody that I knew who thought they were being funny by making an OF with my name on it. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, take that down. So they did. So then I had to create one. So I do have one. There is one that exists, but there's nothing on it, thirst trap or otherwise, but it's out there. But just for shits and giggles, does anybody, like, you don't have to out yourself in the comments. Anybody else thought about this? Like, why doesn't he have an OF? I don't know. I just think it's weird. When I'm watching YouTube, I don't really think about whether or not a content creator has an OnlyFans or a Just for Fans or whatever those websites are. I don't think about that. I mean, I guess I could make Patreon type content on there, but do people really go there for that? I don't think they do. I don't think people go there for that kind of content. Anyway, thank you so much for your comment. With that being said, that brings us to the end of the video today. Again, if you would like to submit a question to possibly get answered on this series, go down in the description box and click on the link down there to take you over to the form where you can leave a comment or question. Remember, I have to be able to read it on YouTube. If it's something that's against YouTube's terms of service or something along those lines, I will not read it on camera. And if it's not something that I can discuss openly on YouTube without it getting flagged, it ends up in the members only video. So over here, if you want me to possibly read it on this, the public video that you get here, the AMA video, it has to be suitable for YouTube. However you skate that YouTube policy, that's what it has to be. If you want to yell and scream at me or talk shit, you saw a comment there. That's how you do it. You just don't include anything that I can't read on YouTube. Even if you want to slur me out, I can't say it on, I can't show it on YouTube, and I can't say it because even though people get away with that, I know I would get hit 100% by that because that's what YouTube does. Anyway, that's pretty much it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will talk with everyone later. See ya.